Well guys, we finally made it to the last recap episode. But before I get into that, I just want to say, hey guys, it's Zach and welcome to episode 97 of Let's Play Chronocross, and my phone just rang with a text message, but I'm not going to read it right now, because I'm that awesome. Anyway, so in the last episode, or rather, Serge and his friends made it back to the homeworld and met up with oh my gosh, my phone keeps ringing. Met up with three ghost children that they met before, except they're not ghost children for some reason, and learned a ton of exposition about the backstory of the game, which leads me to my first point. This recap episode is going to be the entire plot of the game in chronological order. Second point, this is a 5-page script that I've written, which really wasn't that difficult, and it's going to feature a unified timeline. And that I mean, I'm not going to have like a split timeline. A classic example of this is, remember when Link's and Harold burned down Lucas' house? Well, originally all the orphans except for Kid died. However, later on in the game, like when you're actually playing the game, Serge time travels and then saves all the orphans. So rather than have a split timeline in that sense in the script, I decided to simplify it. And so in that paragraph, basically, that features Lucas' house burning down, Serge is already there saving all the orphans. So if you want an actual good representation of all the split timelines and how everybody time traveling creates new copies of Homeworld and another world, like Kid, Serge, and I think Balthazar even. There's a link in the description below, and it's a link to Chronopedia, which is a just like Chronocross wiki, basically. And it has a lot of great detail. There's a great image there of all the split timelines and all the copies of the worlds, and it has great detail about everything that happens when the characters time travel. So you can get more information there. And since this episode, since the script is 5 pages long, I don't want to make this episode any longer than I have to, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. The story of Chronocross begins in the year 12,000 BC, when the ancient magical kingdom of Zeal met its end after trying to use Lavos. The result flings the Guru of Reason, Balthazar, into the year 2300 AD. Zeal's princess, Princess Shala, falls into a wormhole with the Lavos Mammon machine, and starts to merge with Lavos, becoming an even more powerful being known as the Time Devourer. When this being is fully matured, it will consume all space-time. Meanwhile, in the year 2300 AD, Balthazar gets funding and establishes the Time Research Center of Chronopolis. He finds a spot in the El Nido archipelago where gravity is vastly different, possibly due to the Frozen Flame, which is a piece of Lavos that broke off. Chronopolis is built and the Frozen Flame is used as the power source. Balthazar then builds the supercomputer known as Fate from some old motherbrain components and gives Fate a complete knowledge of history. After the facility is completely operational, Balthazar looks into history and sees Princess Shala merging with Lavos. He creates a device known as the Chronocross, which will separate Shala and Lavos. He decides to use Chronopolis as the means to accomplish this task. The facility will time travel, create populated islands, and provide all the necessary factors to create the Chronocross. He contacts Luca, who installs Robo as the Prometheus circuit. It's a device designed to lock access to the Frozen Flame should anyone make contact with it and become its arbiter. This is all part of the plan Balthazar names Project Kid. Balthazar then announces his counter-time experiment, which is an effort to use the Frozen Flame to master control of time. He creates a Neo-Epoch and warps to 1020 AD, leaving the Chronopolis chief to continue the counter-time experiment in his absence. In 2400 AD, the counter-time experiment is performed and results in the time crash. The result of the crash sends Chronopolis back in time to the year 12,000 BC when Lavos was awoken. Lavos pulled the Frozen Flame back through time to himself as a backup plan, should anyone destroy him. As a defense against the introduction of Chronopolis, the planet summoned Donopolis, the future city of the Reptites, in another dimension, to this dimension. Once the inhabitants of Chronopolis are aware of their surroundings, they send out the defenses and a huge battle erupts between them and the Dragonians. The Dragonians use their best weapon, the Dragon God, against the inhabitants of Chronopolis, but the Dragon God proves to be ineffective. Lavos then consumes the Dragon God and leaves behind a quasi-existent image of it. After the battle was over, Fate uses the power of the Frozen Flame to split the Dragon God into 6 separate dragons with their own individual powers. Fate then also manufactures the element system, which could be used to harness the powers of nature. Fate creates several islands in the El Nido archipelago, erases the minds of Chronopolis' staff, and sends them to populate the islands. It also creates the records of Fate, which allow it to rewrite the personality and memories of the people who access them. The area that Chronopolis is in becomes known as the Sea of Eden. In 1006 AD, a 3-year-old boy named Serge is attacked by a panther. Serge's father, Uzuki, and Lena's father, Miguel, head to Termina and then got over to heal Serge of the panther's poison. But the doctors at both places can't do anything. Uzuki and Miguel set sail to Marbio to seek help from the sage. However, the sound of Serge crying touches the heart of Princess Shala, who is still merging with Lavos. Shala tries to cross the dimensions to help Serge, but is unable to. Instead, she creates a daughter clone of herself named Kid and gives her a special amulet. When Kid is in mortal danger, this amulet will activate and rewind her personal time to a safe point. Kid will retain no memory of the danger. Luca finds Kid and raises her with several other orphans in her house. Shala also causes a raging magnetic storm which blows Uzuki and Miguel's boat off course. The storm becomes so strong that it temporarily takes Chronopolis' defenses offline. With Fate's defenses down, the 6 dragons combine their powers together and create a humanoid 7th dragon named Haro. Miguel and Uzuki land on the island Chronopolis is on and head into the futuristic fortress. There, the Frozen Flame sees Serge in peril and calls out to him. Miguel warns Uzuki of the dangers of this place, but Uzuki heads further in anyway to save his son. Serge touches the Frozen Flame, which heals him, but also damages Uzuki's psyche. Fate seizes a little bit of control over Uzuki after he's damaged. As a result of Serge's contact with the flame, the Prometheus circuit makes him the arbiter and locks Fate out from using the Frozen Flame. Uzuki and Serge leave Chronopolis as the defenses come back online, but Miguel gets trapped inside. The Dragon Tear is given to Chief Daria in Caldove and is believed to unlock the mysteries at Fort Dragonia. 4 years later, in 1010 AD, Fate realizes that the only way to regain control over the Frozen Flame is to kill Serge. Fate orders Uzuki back to Chronopolis and transforms him into Serge's worst fear at the time, a panther. Uzuki is assigned the name of Lynx and tasked to drown Serge at a passive beach. Lynx does so, but the image of killing Serge damages Uzuki's psyche even more and Fate takes complete control over him. Chronopolis then resumes a normal state of operations. That is until 1020 AD when Kid time travels, thanks to Balthazar, to 1010 AD and saves Serge from drowning. The result of this mission splits the dimensions apart, creating 2 worlds. There's the false reality, Homeworld, in which Serge lives through the attack, and the real world, another world, in which Serge dies. In the Homeworld, all of the actions Chrono and his friends take to defeat Lavos and Chrono Trigger don't happen. Thus, Chronopolis changes to reflect the ruined future that Lavos carries out. The Sea of Eden is renamed to the Dead Sea. In addition to that, the Frozen Flame is duplicated. Haro meets up with Lynx and pledges her loyalty to him while maintaining a secret objective. With Serge back to being alive, the Prometheus circuit re-engages the lock on the flame. Fate calculates that one day Serge will cross over from the homeworld to another world to make contact with the flame. Lynx and Haro are dispatched to the Acacia Dragoons and Port to force both parties against each other in a war. General Viper of the Acacia Dragoons sends Orcha to steal the Dragon Tear from Galdove and bring it back to Viper Manor. In 1015 AD, Fate grows impatient waiting for Serge. It sends Lynx and Haro to Luca's house to kidnap Luca. They burn the house to the ground and a 17-year-old Serge arrives and saves all the orphans. Kid thanks Serge, not wanting him to leave, and swears her revenge on Lynx. Lynx and Haro take Luca back to Chronopolis and force her to deactivate the lock the Prometheus circuit made. But the whole thing only ends in failure. Fate decides to wait an extra 5 years for Serge and hatches a new plan for Lynx. It sends Lynx and Haro back to the Acacia Dragoons and Port to inform them about the power of the Frozen Flame. Both parties decide to look for the flame. In 1017 AD, Lynx leads all the members of the Acacia Dragoons in the homeworld into the Dead Sea to steal the Frozen Flame. However, they phase out of normal time and die because they aren't the chosen ones to approach the flame. 3 years later, in 1020 AD, the poor military invades El Nido in the homeworld and takes over the land since the Acacia Dragoons are no longer around. A 17-year-old Serge is collecting Komodo dragon scales and talking to Leon at a passive beach when Kid's voice calls to him across the dimensions. A tidal wave crashes into the beach and Serge crosses the dimensional gate into another world. He makes his way to Cape Hal and visits his tombstone. When confronted by Karsh and other Dragoons, Kid arrives and helps him fight them off. Surge and Kid head to Termina where they meet Guile and Korcha. They use Korcha's boat and head to Viper Manor to find out why the Dragoons want Surge. There they meet Balthazar, who explains a bit about what happened to Surge in 1010 AD. Balthazar warns them of Lynx and our heroes leave him. They meet up with Harl, who warns Surge not to fight Lynx. Surge ignores this and our heroes enter General Viper's office. They see the Dragon Tier, and Lynx reveals he's the one after Surge. He battles our heroes, and after the battle, Kid takes Lady Riddle hostage. Our heroes are chased by General Viper, Lynx, and other Dragoons to the top of Viper Manor. Lynx injures Kid with a poison dagger and tries to get Surge to join him. Surge refuses and jumps off the roof with the rest of the party. Korcha takes them back to Galdove where they decide what to do with Kid. Surge doesn't know how to save Kid and continues on his adventure. He speaks with the shaman at Galdove who explains that the key to connecting the two dimensions lies at the land of Genesis. Sina, the shaman's assistant, points out that someone stole the Dragon Tier from them. She then tells our heroes about the 6 dragons and that Fort Dragonia is at the peak of Mount Pyre. Our heroes head to Termina and find out from Glenn that Lynx and General Viper headed to Fort Dragonia. They take Korcha's boat and head to Hermit's Hideaway, where Radius talks about Lynx's connection to General Viper. The General wants to use the Frozen Flame to defeat the poor nation. Radius then says there are ghosts on the sea and our heroes disembark. They are captured by Fargo on the SS Invincible, but earn his respect when they help defeat the ghost ship. Fargo says that to enter Mount Pyre they will need the divine protection of the Water Dragon. Our heroes head back to Galdove and check on Kid. She's completely healed thanks to a mysterious man. Surge then gets Kid up to speed about Lynx and the General. Kid says the General will use the Dragon Tier to activate the ruin. She says that they will need to cross the dimensions in order to get the Water Dragon's protection. She gives Surge the Astral Amulet, as they are the 2 keys to crossing the dimensions. Surge and his friends return to the homeworld and get the divine protection from the Water Dragon. Kid tells Surge about her past and why she wants revenge on Lynx. Our heroes enter Mount Pyre and meet up with the Fire Dragon and Harl. Then they make their way to the top of Fort Dragonia. Lynx stabs the General and explains what happened 10 years ago. Lynx and Surge switch bodies, which is Fate's second plan after the first plan using Luca failed. Lynx stabs Kid but decides to keep her around as a traveling companion. He tells Surge to come to the Sea of Eden should he wish to end his dream of 10 years ago. Lynx then destroys the area, causing the Dragon Tier to break into the Tier of Hate, and sends Surge to the Temporal Vortex. With the help of Harl, Surge escapes the Temporal Vortex and ends up in the homeworld. They head to a passive beach to cross the dimensions, but the Astral Amulet doesn't work. They talk to Surge's mom, and she explains a bit about what happened to Surge 14 years ago. Radius says the General has been missing for 3 years. Our heroes head to Termina and Viper Manor to find out more information on this. A soldier alerts our heroes to a strange light in the El Nido Triangle and a monster on Sky Dragon Isle. Our heroes meet Norris and he explains how Lynx met with the poor military about the Frozen Flame. Norris says the flame is in the Dead Sea and there's no door. Radius says they can learn more information about the Dead Sea at Marbule, and Norris grants our heroes access to his boat. Surge and his friends obtain a star fragment from the mysterious light in the El Nido Triangle. They then recruit Stark at Sky Dragon Isle. They head to Marbule and learn from Toma that Death's Door is the entrance to the Dead Sea. They head aboard the SS Selbus and speak with the Sage. The Sage gives our heroes the Fiddler Crab and they head to Death's Door. At Death's Door, they find they can't pass the evil force of the Masamune. Radius says they need the Einlanzer to neutralize the evil in the Masamune. So our heroes head to Garai's grave in the Isle of the Damned. After a tough battle, they get the Einlanzer and head back to Death's Door. The Masamune vanishes and our heroes enter the frozen Dead Sea. While inside, they find a computer that gives them a little information about Lavos and the year this place comes from. Our heroes enter the Tower of Gridon and Surge sees the remains of the Dragoons and some ghost children. They meet Miguel, who tells them what happened 14 years ago, and that whatever happened 10 years ago changed this place from the Sea of Eden to the Dead Sea. He says that the only way to restore the dimensional distortion is to defeat him in battle. After the battle, Miguel tells Surge that he's the chosen one who can get close to the frozen flame. Fate then destroys the Dead Sea to prevent the frozen flame from activating, and the Sky Dragon carries our heroes to safety. Harl says the dimensional distortion should be fixed and our heroes go back to another world. They find out that the poor military is invaded in the absence of the Acacia Dragoons. They head to Termina and find out that Riddle has been taken hostage in Viper Manor. Our heroes defeat the poor military and rescue Riddle. They go to Hermit's hideaway to check on her. Lynx and Kid show up and attack our heroes. Barfargo arrives with his bird and escorts them to safety aboard the SS Invincible. There, General Viper says that Lynx is headed for the Sea of Eden and will obtain the Frozen Flame. Our heroes arrive at the pearly gates, but are unable to pass through it. Harl says that the only way to enter the Sea of Eden is by collecting the 6 dragon relics and entering the Dead Sea, but that's not all. She reveals that the reason Lynx can enter the Sea of Eden is because he looks like Surge. Surge will need to regain his old body if he wants to enter as well. Harl leaves the party, and our heroes see the shaman in another world. She gives Surge the dragon emblem, and our heroes show the emblem to Stina in the homeworld. Stina says she'll only give the dragon tear to the one chosen by the dragon gods. After defeating Dario, the Masamune transforms into Surge's ultimate weapon, the Master Mune. Then our heroes obtain 5 of the 6 dragon relics and meet the Cryosphinx. He likes to be attacked in a particular element order. That order is yellow, red, green, blue, black, and white. Surge and his friends head to Sky Dragon Isle and get the last relic. Stina gives Surge the dragon tear, and our heroes head for Fort Dragonia. After a battle with Dark Surge, they reach the top and Surge gets his original body back. The dragon tear shatters, leaving behind the tear of love. Stina says she thinks Surge can make the Chrono Cross out of the 2 shards in the Divine Dragon Falls. Our heroes return to another world and enter the Divine Dragon Falls. Surge uses the 2 tears to make the Chrono Cross, but it doesn't work. Stina starts to wonder if they need the 7th dragon as well to make it. Our heroes return to the homeworld and enter the Dead Sea. They use the 6 relics and pass through a wormhole to the Sea of Eden. After defeating the 3 fates, they enter the futuristic city of Chronopolis. While inside, they learn that fate created the islands 10,000 years ago, sent Chronopolis' staff to populate them, and that someone touched the frozen flame 14 years ago. Our heroes learn that Lavos may have caused human evolution by falling to Earth 65 million years ago, and about Zeal. They learn that a group of young time travelers defeated Lavos, and in another dimension, the reptiles could have continued to develop. Surge and his friends learn that the frozen flame can change DNA, about the time egg, why Chronopolis was built here, and that someone from Zeal may have traveled to the future. They learn that Balthazar established the facility in 2300 and about fate. Our heroes make it to the basement and the retinal scan verifies that Surge is Surge. The door opens and they enter the room. They meet Fate, who explains about what happened to Surge 14 years ago. After the battle with Fate, Terra Tower rises from the ocean and Kid wakes up. She explains what happened in 12,000 BC after the time crash. With Fate down, the 6 dragons meet together, becoming the Dragon God. Harl steals the frozen flame and merges with the Dragon God as well. As she leaves, Kid faints. Again. Our heroes leave Chronopolis and meet up on the SS Invincible. They decide that they need to save Kid from the past and find a way up to Terra Tower. Our heroes head to Hermit's hideaway and check on Kid. 3 voices, Masa, Mune, and Doreen, appear to Surge and tell him they'll send him back in time to 1015 AD to save Kid. After Surge returns to the present, Kid tells him that she doesn't remember getting injured. They leave Hermit's hideaway and travel to Viper Manor, where Kid gets a letter from Luca. Luca hints a bit at Kid's mysterious past. After that, they head to the El Nido Triangle. They board Starkey's ship and Starkey grabs the anti-gravity generator. They head to Chronopolis again and Starkey attaches the anti-gravity generator to Korch's boat. Our heroes fly the boat to Terra Tower. There they meet Balthazar, who explains about a lot of stuff. This includes how he got to the future, Chronopolis, the Neo Epoch, the result of the time crash, fate splitting the Dragon God, and how Harl was created. Our heroes leave and make it to the top of the tower. They battle the Dragon God's image of the Time Devourer, and Balthazar appears again. He explains about how the Dragon God was consumed by the Time Devourer in 12,000 BC. He also says that the Frozen Flame is a splinter of Lavos, and that the Time Devourer is the fusion of Lavos and someone from this planet. He gives Surge the time egg and tells them to travel to the darkness beyond time and release the life that's imprisoned. Terra Tower falls to the ocean and our heroes return to a passive beach. They cross the dimensions one last time to the homeworld and talk to the child form of Luca. She explains everything about Princess Shala merging with Lavos, Kid's past, Kid saving Surge in 1010 AD, Kid calling out to Surge to cross the dimensions, and how Balthazar's plan, aka Project Kid, was designed to lead our heroes to this specific point in time. Our heroes then talk to the child form of Chrono, and he explains everything about Lynx's backstory, and that the homeworld is the false reality. Finally, they talk to the child form of Maro, who explains what the Chronocross will do. So now their mission is clear. They have to travel to the darkness beyond time and use the Chronocross to save Princess Shala from completely merging with Lavos. Woohoo! Okay, there we go. I need a glass of water. But there you go, guys. There is the entire plot of Chronocross in chronological order. Yeah, I have no idea how long it took to write this. It actually wasn't as long as the last recap episode, and that's simply because I didn't really have to go back through all of my previous episodes and find out what was really plot-worthy and what wasn't. I actually wrote most of this from memory. There were some finer details that I actually had to look up to be sure of. Some lines of dialogue, maybe, particularly like what Balthazar says in Terra Tower and stuff like that, just so I could like list it off correctly. But yeah, but most of it, I wrote from memory, and it actually wasn't that hard. What the most difficult part about it was writing. Was trying to figure out like what order to put things exactly. Such as it's weird jumping from 1200 BC in the beginning to 2300 AD, but technically that is in chronological order because then I had to set up everything Balthazar did in the future first, before I could start talking about what happened afterwards in, the war between Chronopolis and Dianopolis and stuff like that. So, anyway, guys, there you go. And there's the recap episode. So, yeah, and I'm done talking because I talked for a while. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. And as always, please follow me on Twitter and stuff like that. In the next episode, we are finally going to finish the game. I'm going to get back into the game. We're going to go to Darkness Beyond Time and defeat the Time Devourer with the Chronocross. So, once again, thank you very much for watching. And yes, I will see you guys then.